Hi, my name is Caelin Cerecero, and this is my video 1 assignment for strength and conditioning. I am starting off my workout by doing a general warm-up. I am walking on the treadmill with an incline. I'm doing this so that I can warm up my body and increase my body temperature. This will help warm up muscles to contract more efficiently, and higher body temperature improves elasticity of muscles and connective tissues. Walking also elevates my heart rate, and it boosts blood flow. And when there's more blood flow, more oxygen and nutrients reach the working muscles, which will improve my performance during my resistance training workout. Walking also engages my hips, glutes, core, and leg muscles. These muscle groups will be used during my workout, so it's important that I get those muscles warmed before I start those exercises. And these muscle groups also support posture and stability during any lifts that I may do. And it also just helps to wake up my muscles so that they're ready to perform. Walking also helps to lubricate my joints. The light movement that I am doing will stimulate synovial fluid production, which will improve joint mobility. This is specifically beneficial for any of the exercise that I do that includes squatting and lunging, anything that involves bending in the knees. This will be beneficial for those type of exercises. I also find that walking before a workout prepares my mind better. It gives me time to focus and mentally prepare myself for the exercises that I'm going to do. I get a chance to regulate my breathing, and it helps me deal with some stress along with actually working out. So that's why I also like to start workouts with a light walk. Overall, walking is a great way to warm up and reduce the risk of injury during a workout. As I'm walking, my body gradually transitions from rest to activity, and it helps prevent sudden stress on cold muscles and joints. It's important that you warm up so that your body isn't going from 0 to 100 when you're working out. And overall, a proper warm up can lead to stronger performance and lifts, better range of motion, and just more efficient movement patterns. In total, I walked on the treadmill for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes is over, I will move on to the specific warm up where I will be doing some movements and stretches that will warm up my body and my muscles for the specific exercises and workouts that I'll be doing in the rest of the video. Now I am doing my specific warm up. The specific warm up includes dynamic stretching. It is important to do dynamic stretching before you work out so that you can continue to get your body moving and warmed up before you perform the movements of your workouts. So, my specific warm up includes movements like forward arm circles, backward arm circles, arm swings, torso twists, shoulder circles. I did some body weight squats, and then I also did body weight squats with a stretch. I did some leg swings and hip circles. For each of these movements, I performed them anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds. I wasn't specific on time. I was just moving my body as much as I felt like I needed to, kind of just keeping time mentally and just listening to my body and making sure that I felt warmed up and ready to go. In total, my specific dynamic warm up lasted for about 10 minutes, and I made sure to do a good combination of upper body and lower body dynamic stretching, because each modality that I have in my workout plan does have an upper body and lower body component. So I wanted to make sure that I was warming up as much as possible in my upper and lower body. So with my warm-up movements, I wanted to make sure that I was targeting my shoulder and my hip joints specifically, since those areas are going to be targeted the most in my workouts. I also wanted to make sure that my larger muscle groups were targeted, so like my quads, my hamstrings, my biceps, my chest, and my back muscles. So that's what I was focusing on when performing these dynamic stretches. Along with the walking, I feel like the dynamic stretching in the specific warm up also helps me to mentally prepare for my exercises. It allows me to really think about the movements that I'm doing in my warm up so that I feel like my body is fully prepared for my exercises, and I'm also just telling myself to take my time so that I am not rushing through any of the movements, and then that will allow me to not rush through any of the movements that I'm doing in my actual workout. So this also just helps me mentally prepare overall for the workout that I am about to perform. The first modality I had was resistance training with dumbbells, and I decided to do some calf raises. The variations I did for calf raises were neutral foot position, feet turned out, and feet turned in, and I did 12 reps for each set. For a neutral foot position, it is targeting the gastrocnemius muscle, and a neutral foot position targets it evenly with both of its heads being focused on. Next, I am doing calf raises with my feet turned in slightly, so my toes should be pointed in a little bit more than they were in the neutral foot position. And with the feet turned in, I am focusing on the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, so the movement will be felt more on the outside of the calf. Now I'm doing calf raises with my feet turned out, so my toes are pointed outwards and my heels are in. The calf raises in this position targets the medial head of the gastrocnemius, so I am feeling the muscles contract more on the inside of my calf. For the upper body component of the dumbbell modality, I decided to do lateral raises with the variations including standard lateral raises with a hold, and then a lateral raise to a front raise. So lateral raises mainly target the deltoid muscles, with stabilizing muscles including the traps, the supraspinatus, and the serratus anterior. For each set, I did 8 reps. And for the second variation where I'm having a slight hold, I decided to do this variation to make it a little bit more challenging because you'll have to hold your arms in that raised position with the weight. So your muscles are working harder whenever they are paused in that up position. Now I am doing my lateral raises into front raises. So just like the lateral raises with a pause, I'm just adding another component to make it a little bit more challenging. For this, you can experiment with the amount of weights you have. If this is easier, you can increase the weight, or if it's harder, you can lower the weight. My next modality was resistance training using weight plates. For the upper body portion, I was doing different press variations. So I did an overhead press, then I did an overhead press with an added front press, and then I just did a front press on its own. And for each set, I did 10 reps. These presses target the deltoid muscles mainly, with the secondary muscles being the triceps, the pecs, the traps, and I'm also making sure that I'm stabilizing my core in these exercises. With the different variations, the overhead press is mainly targeting the shoulders or the deltoid muscles, and then the chest press is focusing on the chest muscles, so the pecs mainly. But this whole exercises is also tapping into the triceps, the traps, and the upper chest as well. For the variations, anyone can focus on different types of movements. So if you want to just do a single movement like overhead or front press, then you're just working on focusing one specific muscle or muscle group. And if you want to be more convenient, or if you have less time in the gym, then it might be beneficial to combine the movements, which is why I did that from one of my variations. So each variation does have a benefit depending on what you're looking for in your workout. The next component I had with my weight plate modality was doing some squats. So my squat variations included a standard squat, a sumo squat, and then a standard squat with a front press component as well. So for the squats, the main muscles that are targeted are the gluteus maximus and then the adductor muscles. The secondary muscles include the quads, the hamstrings, external hip rotators, and also you are engaging your core and lower back. For the standard squat, you are mainly focusing on your quads and glutes compared to the sumo squats where you are focusing mainly on your glutes and your adductors. So I decided to do these variations so that you can see the differences in the muscles that are targeted, and then as well as the squat with that front press component, it just gives the ability to add another component to your workout so that it can be a little bit more challenging, or if you're low on time, you can have multiple movements within one exercise. And for my squat variations, I did 8 reps for each set. The next modality I chose was to do rubber band resistance training, and for the lower body component, I did some glute bridges. The variations I did were standard glute bridge, a standard glute bridge with added hip abductions, and then a standard glute bridge with an added lateral step out. So I was stepping one foot in and out and then the other foot in and out. I did 10 reps for each set. For glute bridges, you are targeting the gluteus maximus primarily, but the secondary muscles being targeted also include the hamstrings, back muscles, and you're also stabilizing your core. The standard glute bridge is mainly targeted the gluteus maximus. For the glute bridges with the added hip abduction, you are also targeting the gluteus medius and the gluteus minimus as well as the maximus. When you push your knees out in that abduction, you're recruiting your side glutes, so that's why you feel the contraction in the gluteus medius and the minimus. So this is different to the standard glute bridge where it's just the gluteus maximus. For the standard glute bridge with the lateral foot step outs, you are targeting your gluteus maximus, medius minimus, and you're also targeting your hip external rotators. The difference with this variation is that whenever you are moving your feet outwards, it widens the base and it forces your hips to fight its natural rotation and that lateral movement. So it ends up increasing the activation of your side glutes and deep hip rotators, and then you're also stabilizing your core a lot more when you're in that bridge position. For the upper body component of the rubber band resistance training, I decided to do some chest flies. So for the variations, I did a standing chest fly, a seated chest fly, and then a bent over chest fly, and I did 10 reps for each set. All the variations target the pectoralis muscles, so the chest muscles, mainly the mid chest. For the standing chest fly, you are stabilizing your core and your back muscles to hold yourself up while you are performing the chest fly movements. As far as the seated incline chest fly, you are targeting a little bit more of your upper chest. And then the seated incline, because I have the chair behind me, I don't have to worry about holding myself up, so I'm mainly focusing on the movements of the chest fly. So this movement is a little bit more isolated, and it can feel easier for some people, so this variation may be more appealing if this exercise is new to someone. And then for the bent over chest fly, you are working a little bit more on targeting the lower chest. And for this variation, it allows you to have a stronger lower pec activation. And then you are also feeling a little bit more in your back and your core because you have to engage it based on the position you are in. The next modality that I did was resistance training using barbells. For the upper body component, I decided to do bent over rows. For the variations, I had a supinated grip, a wide supinated grip, and then a pronated grip. For each set, I did 8 reps. The muscles that are being targeted in a bent over row are mainly the lats, rhomboids, traps, posterior deltoids, and biceps. And then the secondary or stabilizing muscles include forearm flexors, your back muscles, and then your core for stability. With the hand placement variations, a supinated grip with shoulder width apart, the elbow path usually runs close to the ribs, and you are emphasizing your lower lats, biceps, and teres major. And this is usually the most common position in this exercise, and it's great. It's a great way to build your lats. For the supinated wide grip, you have a slight flare with the old elbow path. You are emphasizing more of your middle back, rear delts, and rhomboids. It's a little less common, and then it includes more shoulder rotation. For the pronated grip, there's a little bit of a moderate flare with the elbow path. It emphasizes more of your upper back, rhomboids, and traps. For the lower body component of the barbell modality, I decided to do Romanian deadlifts or RDLs. For the variations, I did a glute focus RDL, a hamstring focus RDL, and a single leg RDL. Each set had 8 reps. The muscles being targeted in all the variations include the hamstrings, glutes, and the erector spinae muscles. The secondary muscles being targeted include the adductors, core stabilizers, and upper back, including the traps and the lats. For the glute focus RDL, there is a more bend in the knee, and I'm squeezing more in my glutes at the top of the exercise. And then for a hamstring focus RDL, there is less knee bends, and I'm pushing my hips back, or I'm hinging my hips back a little bit more. And then for the single leg RDLs, this is mainly focusing on more balance and stability and hip control. It requires more glute medius activation so that my pelvis stays level. And then it's also working my hamstrings in a stretched position on one side. So when breaking down an RDL with one leg, the gluteus medius is being activated for pelvic stability. The gluteus maximus is being targeted for the working leg, as well as the hamstrings. And then you're also targeting deep stabilizers of the foot and ankle, and then you're engaging your core the entire time. For the single leg RDLs, I made sure to do 8 reps for each leg. The next modality I chose was resistance training using kettlebells, and for the upper body component, I decided to do bicep curls. For the variations, I had a standard bicep curl, with a hold halfway down, and then a bicep curl hand to hand where I was switching hands with the kettlebell. And for each set, I did 8 reps each. The muscles being targeted in the bicep curls are the long head and short head of the biceps brachii, the brachialis, and the brachioradialis muscles. For the variation with the pause going down, I am increasing the time under tension. The muscle fibers are being stressed longer whenever I'm holding that position, and then this is going to promote muscle hypertrophy. This also improves control of the movement, and it also works on mind-muscle connection. Whenever you're pausing, you are making sure that your biceps are doing the work entirely, and it helps you feel the contraction throughout the range of motion. Pausing during the bicep curl can also be beneficial to prevent cheating by swinging or using your shoulders or back. This can help you really make sure that you're only using your biceps to perform the movement. For the hand-to-hand bicep curls, this is more of a dynamic load transfer because instead of both arms moving simultaneously, the kettlebell is being swapped between the hands. And this creates a transfer phase that engages the stabilizers in grip differently than normal static curls. The purpose of this variation is to force you to control your core so that you are not twisting or rotating and using that movement to pass the kettlebell. It makes sure that you're only using your biceps the entire time as you're passing the kettlebells between each hand. For the lower body component of the kettlebell resistance training, I did lunges. For each set, I did 8 reps, and I did backward, forward, and lateral lunges. For the lunges, I made sure to do 8 reps for each leg. For the backwards or reverse lunges, you are engaging mostly your glutes, and this is focused more in Reverse lunges, you're activating your glutes in this position more than the other positions. You're also focusing on engaging your hamstrings, and then there is usually less knee stress as you go backwards. For forward lunges, you are activating your quad muscles, your glutes, your hamstrings, and you're working on your core stability as you're taking that step forward and down. For lateral or side lunges, you are still working your glutes and your quads, but you're also working your adductor muscles. And this position or this direction increases lateral stability, and you have to focus on shifting your weight and then keeping it center as you go down on that working leg. For my last modality, I decided to do body weight calisthenics. For the lower body component, I decided to do some different leg raises. For the leg raise variations, I did donkey kicks, straight leg raises, and then rainbows where I'm moving my leg up and over. For each set, I did 15 reps each, 15 reps on each leg. For the donkey kicks, the primary muscles being activated are the gluteus maximus, with the secondary or stabilizing muscles being the hamstrings and the core. And with this exercise, there is a focus on hip extension. And I'm also squeezing my glutes as I hit the top of the movement. For the straight leg raises, The primary muscles being targeted are the rectus abdominis and the hip flexors, with the secondary or stabilizing muscles being the quads and the lower back. For this exercise, there is an emphasis on the core and the hip flexors. For the rainbow leg raises, the primary muscles being targeted are the rectus abdominis and the obliques as well, with the secondary or stabilizing muscles being the hip flexors and the adductors and abductors. For this movement, it is focusing on adding rotational and lateral stability, and then there is also full core engagement for this movement. For the upper body component of the bodyweight calisthenics, I decided to do knee push-ups. For the variations, I did a standard push-up with a hold at the top, and then a push-up with wide hand placement. For each set, I did 8 reps. The muscles being targeted for all push-up variations include the pectoralis major, the triceps brachii, and the anterior deltoids. And then you're also using your core and your back to stabilize you as well. For the variation of the push-up where you are holding at the top, you are also increasing time under tension. The muscles stay contracted longer, promoting a muscle endurance and hypertrophy. You're also increasing your stability. The triceps, shoulders, chest, and core must maintain tension in order to keep the proper alignment. And then you're also working on that mind-muscle connection because you're creating awareness whenever you take that pause. The wide hand placement for push-ups just changes the muscle emphasis, so there's a more emphasis on the outer chest in the pectoralis major, and then it also reduces tricep load, increases chest stretch, and may also stress the shoulders. Now I am performing my cool down for my workout video, so this will conclude the entirety of my workout. So for the cool down, I am focusing on static stretching. The stretches included are neck stretches, cross body arm stretches, overhead arm stretches, wrist stretches, a butterfly stretch, a straddle stretch, single leg stretches, back stretches, child's pose, cobra stretch, pike, some lunge stretches, and hamstring stretches. This cool down lasted for about 10 minutes, but a cool down can be as long or as short as anyone needs to feel completely cooled down and relaxed from the workout that they just did. Stretching after a workout and having a proper cool down promotes muscle relaxation and recovery because after lifting, muscles are shortened and tight from contraction, and the stretching helps return muscles to their resting length. This can reduce post-workout tension, and so holding a stretch for 15 to 30 seconds encourages muscle fibers to relax, and it eases the soreness felt after the workout. Stretching is also beneficial to improve flexibility and range of motion. So as you stretch more after each workout session, you'll gradually increase joint mobility. So if flexibility is something you want to be better at, it is beneficial to stretch, especially after the workout. Better flexibility can enhance performance in future workouts. So as you keep working out, you'll perform better. Like, for example, you might have deeper squats or presses. And then muscles are warm after training, so stretching at this time is safer and more effective. Static stretching also supports injury prevention because when you stretch, you are maintaining optimal muscle length, which can reduce strain during everyday movements and during your workouts. When you have tight muscles, you are more prone to strains, so post-exercise stretching helps keep them supple. Stretching also enhances blood flow and nutrient delivery because it encourages light muscle elongation and it helps with circulation. Improved blood flow may help remove metabolic waste like lactate, which can help in recovery. Stretching is also relaxing as well for your mind and your body. Static stretching post-workout gives a chance to cool down and allows your heart rate to lower, and then you can mentally transition out of that training mindset. While I was stretching, I wasn't timing myself specifically. I was just keeping in mind that I needed to hold the stretch for at least 15 seconds, anywhere between 15 to 30 seconds or longer if I needed to. I was just focusing on getting a good deep stretch. I wasn't pushing myself too much. I didn't want to add any more strain to my body. I was just making sure that the stretches felt good and that they were releasing tension from my body. And I was just holding it for as long as I felt like I needed to and kind of just mentally listening to my body throughout this process. This will be the last few minutes of my cool down and stretching portion of the video. So I'm also concluding the entirety of my video project assignment. Again, this is my video 1 for strength and conditioning, and I want to say thank you for watching and following along my video. I greatly appreciate it. Again, my name is Caelin Cerecero, and this is my video 1 for strength and conditioning.